I believe we're recording. Are any students with me? Looks like just one participant, me. And I experimented and could not find a way to pause the recording. It just kept on going. I don't know why. But tonight we'll do lesson number 4. There was a delay in the class or in the training because I had a previously scheduled trip to visit my father in Ann Arbor, Michigan. We'll start with page, what does that say, 3 dash rats. All right, now I have to bring it up there. Excuse me. I'll let it go to voicemail. Where was I? Oh, I got to get page 4-1 up. By the way, I've tried twice to upload this week's homework assignment, and it's almost as if I'm limited to 3 assignments or 3 files for each week assignment folder. So yeah, we're going to pick, since the next class is in only 2 days, let's pick one or the other of these 2, 29 or 47. And notice that there's much to array. Once you make one of these jelly beans and one of these circles, you can array it around 360 degrees 4 times. Once you make one of these frog eyes, spoke, and possibly this arc across here, you can array it, looks like 10 times around. The hard part's getting this arc around there, so it's probably easy to array the frog eye, and then draw this between 2, and then array this arc 10 times. So you got 2 arrays. Still just one participant. Let's see if hopefully the recording is operating. 251. I believe, yep, it is recording. Again, I have not found a way to pause the recording. So it's going to have about 15 minutes of dead air at the beginning of this recording. By the way, we're going to schedule classes for the fall. Let me shut some doors here real quick. Excuse me, Abby. What was I? Oh, in the fall, they're going to run the AutoCAD classes again. Dog came back. Get out. Stay. Now I got to listen to her whine. I expect both intro and intermediate are going to be offered in the fall. You didn't have enough to make the intermediate class in the summer. The general rule is we need 10 students enrolled to make a class. So perhaps with the couple that had enrolled for summer and a few of you that will continue on in the intermediate, we might have 10 to make a class for Thursday evenings in intermediate AutoCAD, which is very heavy on 3D work. That's what students like, in spite of what I like. So we'll do as much 3D as we can, with a couple of very important features that apply to 2D or 3D. But we won't do images and heads-up digitizing like that. Anyway, so I don't know how soon the applications will come out, but keep an eye out for the fall night school registration, and I believe it'll be exactly as we're doing right now, through Zoom and through Google Classroom. And there's some talk of switching the AutoCAD work-alike once again. We had it as IntelliCAD, and I was surprised that it turned out to be a 30-day trial. Now I'm using free forever, I think, NanoCAD. If I'll show the couple students that don't have AutoCAD, but if you reshape the toolbars in the rectangle or in the squares, it's kind of sort of similar to AutoCAD. I notice the text command, which we'll cover in a few weeks, is on the draw toolbar instead of annotate. So we only need draw and modify in NanoCAD, where in AutoCAD, okay, yeah, we have to use the annotation panel to make text. And again, with NanoCAD, the text tool, a T instead of a A. Daniel is in. Come on down. Again, in the fall, we'll do exactly as we're doing right now. And there's talk of getting another AutoCAD work-alike. I'm not impressed with the couple of nominations that Shirley Morgan proposed, but I haven't really studied them yet. I'm surprised neither IntelliCAD nor NanoCAD were on the list of few CAD systems she found. So anyway, well, doesn't look like we're going to get the free academic use only AutoCADs that when this course started I had hoped we all could do. And you know, they made it harder to get now. We can't bend the rules and lie about which university we're attending. So we got to find something besides AutoCAD. I really doubt the Shipyard Night School can provide the credentials that the universities, college, and what's it called, community colleges, and even the credit high school classes have, because there's really no college credit and no documentation to speak of. Dan, I see you're with us, and I see there's no microphone, but that's not a problem. It's just me and you so far. I got it recording now. Okay, I just remembered we don't start until 3:15, so there's going to be about 25 minutes of dead air in the recording. In spite of the fact that there's a stop video button, I experimented and it did not stop the video. I'm at a loss on how I can pause so we don't get so much dead air. But anyway, there were 4 potential assignments. And at the end of today's class, in past quarters, I came up with these 6 exercises that you're smart enough to do right now. And of those, I recommend, all right, Burgener, 29 and 47. Double check. Interesting. 29 is, neither one of them is on this list. So I'm at a loss on where I came up with 29 and 47. But 29 and 47 invite you to use the array command, where you can replicate a, see if I can zoom in, can't remember, no. You can replicate a hex head bolt or a fan of a blade of a fan around a circle or around a portion of a circle. And so I wanted to find some problems, exercises that invited or tempted or challenged you to use the array commands. Dan's cell line has entered the waiting room. Admit. Hey, Dan, you're on telephone now? I can't hear you, Dan. That's okay. I can work with you. Again, the two assignments today that are not on the handout, page 4-2, but they're excellent examples to challenge you to use the polar array command. We'll also learn the polygon command. And that is good for making pentagons and hexagons and octagons. And hexagons is probably by far the most common use of the polygon command. Then we'll learn the arrays. A rectangular array is kind of like a checkerboard of copies. I don't have an exercise to work that. I might demonstrate it time permitting. And then after your array is formed, the explode command will blast the 10 or 12 or 20, whatever the number of replicated groups or sets of objects are. The explode command will blast it down to simple lines, arcs, and circles again. So if you want to erase a single one of the hex head bolts around the 10 bolt flange, I don't know, maybe put a square head or pin or something, explode the array and erase the one you want to replace and put the pin or the square headed bolt or carriage bolt, whatever. Unfortunately, you lose the capability to modify the array once you explode the array. Let's see, I got 3. Dan cell line, Dan no microphone, and of course me. It's about 5 after 3. Again, there's a stop video button, but I experimented and it was totally useless.
Hi.
Hey there.
I'm talking to my cell phone.
I see your cell line microphone going up and down. It's a little jerky or breaky though, Dan.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you now, yes, but a second ago, maybe because I was over talking you, your voice was coming in and out, kind of spotted. I think if I shut up while you're talking, I can hear you perfectly.
So Sally won't be here. She had to go to the dentist.
Ooh. All right. She sent a note saying she might be late, but I don't recall if she mentioned dentist.
Probably not. Don't tell her that she went to the dentist. She'll probably get mad at me for telling you.
I hate to tell you, but it's in the recording now. Anyway, you or I can tell her just to jump over the first 30 minutes of the recording, since all I'm doing is talking about the fall classes.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So, how was your trip?
Excellent. We had no rain, no construction delays. Didn't get to visit my father because he's quarantined in an old folks home now. We played a Harry Potter book on the way just so people wouldn't talk to me the whole time. So, you have a good 4th of July yourself, Dan?
Yeah, it was nice. We didn't do anything special, but it was still nice.
Lots of fireworks in your neighborhood.
We could hear them going off, but we couldn't see them. The dog got nervous.
Yep. I subscribe to a Facebook type social media called Nextdoor, and several people complained about fireworks and their dog, running to the far end of the house.
Yep.
You think
A
you'll
real. Go ahead. What'd you say?
You think you'll sign up for intermediate class in the fall, or wait a while to advance to intermediate?
I think it would be good to have intermediate. I didn't know that they were offering that in the fall, so that's just news to me. You just said it.
I'm kind of reluctant to open up Sherry Morgan's message. She kind of said class or classes. And I assume we're going to offer both, like we offered both for summer, but intermediate didn't have the required 10 people enrolled. I think it was less than 5, matter of fact. So intermediate will, that's the general rule. We don't start a class unless there's 10 students enrolled.
I would enroll, and I would imagine Sally would want to enroll too, learn as much as we can.
The other option, it's your call, but another option is just to tinker with introductory at your day job or in your spare time, whatever. But I don't know. On the other hand, you forget stuff you don't exercise.
So I'm using AutoCAD on a daily basis right now.
Good.
Minimum of 8 hours. Sometimes I work 10 hours. So I understand how the lasso command works. I'm learning some stuff from you. Glad I had the opportunity to take this class because, like, the way that you created the last model was interesting to me to watch you do it. I would have probably attacked it a different way, which would have been more cumbersome. And so it's a benefit to me to learn by watching and seeing the different ways that you use commands.
Glad to hear that. That reminds me, I think we got another participant. Let's see, admit Ali is joining us. Ali, I'm sorry. Hello, Ali. I don't believe your mic's on. So we still got about 4 minutes before the official 3:15 start time. What was I just about to open up a file here? I can't remember. Oh, yeah. Dan, you and I were exactly alike in the, whoops, that ain't it. Should be on week number 3 here. And I didn't realize this till I started nitpicking assignments. But this little table-looking thing, lo and behold, this 5-unit dimension down here. Mine came out to like 5. It was either a like 5,000 high or 5 thousandths low. And
Okay.
I think the reason for that is I assumed that these two diagonal lines on the lower right of the table were parallel. And if all dimensions were good, then the 5 automatically formed when I made a parallel line. But I see now that those two lines, in order to make that 5 units, the two lines are not perfectly parallel. I can't remember if I've got the exercises that you can download from the textbook. I don't remember if I opened up the DWG file that I downloaded when I was playing with the textbook to see how they did it. I'll have to admit, a lot of their dimensions are set to round off to the nearest integer. So you can
Yeah.
have.
So Paul, this is Ali.
Yes, sir, Ali.
Hey, so the way I did the 5 inches dimension is, so I drew a line, like a midpoint, a midline, and then I did 2.5 inches to the right, and then I drew the parallel line all the way down to the bottom of the thing.
Okay, I think that's how the textbook
And
wants
then
you to
I
do it.
mirrored everything else to the other side.
Good. I'm glad.
That's how I did the 5-inch dimension was the trickiest one.
Yep. I'm curious if I got it on the errata sheet. Let me see if I can find that errata sheet. Oh, well, I'll look at it another time, but there should be a warning on that textbook errata sheet in week number 1 handouts. Warning that diagonal lines are not parallel. So draw the 5-unit line and connect the dots. It's ever so close. Probably on paper, you wouldn't even see the error. I had to zoom in to see the difference. I habitually overlap mine on top of students, pan and zoom around to see if one or the other's peeking out from under. So Ali, I believe you received your homework assignment back, correct? I can't remember what I nitpicked about. There were a couple of.
Yeah, I think I got your email on Saturday or something. You said everything looked good.
Yeah, the couple students had a couple bad dimensions. I think there was one student, I forget who, didn't quite have this 155-degree angle correct. I can't remember what it was, but didn't quite have the corner shoulder of this point perfectly in line with the center of the circle. So anyway, I got 315. Only 4 students, including myself. Again,
Well, it's really only 3 because Dan is using 2 lines, one for the work computer and one for self for audio.
you're right. Okay, I can't
You got
remember.
2 plus you.
Right. There's a student named Topaz that might have trouble getting out of first shift. Might be late. Cover that when we get there. Incoming. Alexandria is with us. Hello, Alexandria. I don't see your microphone on, Alexandria. So I think you missed week number 3. Is that correct, Ali or Alexandria? Nope, your microphone's turned off. So we got, let's see, Alexandria, Ali, and 2 of Daniels. It's kind of. So anyway, let's get underway. You know, all the presentation lessons tell you to, no matter what, abide by the schedule. So let's move on here. Here's page, no, that isn't. Here's page 4-1 of your handout. It's in the assignment for today. And as I was saying earlier, I tried to upload the finished homework assignment, but for some reason it didn't stick. As if only one DWG can be in an assignment. Or I think week number 1 I had half a dozen PDF files or Excel, or maybe there's something about DW. Anyway, let's check out page 4-1. We're going to learn first the polygon command. And it's for making, I forget what you call them, equilateral shapes. Like an equilateral triangle is one that has the exact same length on all 3 sides. A square is an equilateral, all 4 sides are the same. Ahmed is coming in. Good. Hello, Alexandria. Your camera's operating now. So let's play with the AutoCAD polygon command. And as I mentioned earlier, I think by far the biggest use of the polygon command is for making hexagons for hex head bolts or socket headed cap screws. But be aware it's good for pentagons and triangles and octagons. And so let's get underway. Rules here, kind of a pattern that I suggest. Decide how many sides you have. Select the center of a circle. I find it easier if you draw the circle either just inside or just outside the polygon first. Breck, I believe that's Aaron is coming aboard. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well, sir. How's yourself? You've got you got NanoCAD up and running, correct?
Yes.
There's talk of in the fall, if we continue on to if we get enough students to make intermediate class, there's talk of going to yet another AutoCAD work-alike. I'm kind of resistant or reluctant. I have a feeling that the proposals that I hear are not capable of 3 dimensions, which is the bulk of intermediate class. So I apologize if we'll have to pull the rug out from under you yet again.
Oh, it's fine. I'll figure something out.
Okay. So let me demonstrate the polygon command. I'll go straight to these 6 examples. And looking at them, I should have combined the big triangle and the little triangle in the exact same circle. Maybe I'll demonstrate it that way. Let's always start with AutoCAD first. As always, turn off everything, all these status bar buttons we haven't learned yet. And ensure that your polar tracking is set for 45. And ensure that your object snap, or as I forget what NanoCAD calls it, if it's entity snap or object snap. But, I'm sure there's, have them set to Burgener's 5 favorite: end, mid, center, quadrant, and intersection. And I think you'll see that you rarely need to use an OSNAP override. you know, except for an occasional tangent, near, perpendicular. Anyway, so we got the status bar rigged, everything off except polar tracking and set for 45 and object snap set for Burgener's 5 favorite. Let's draw a 3-unit circle, radius circle, and put a triangle outside of it, which is AutoCAD calls it circumscribed. And then let's make a triangle that is inside the circle, what AutoCAD calls inscribed. So we'll start with a circle. Click on the circle icon for circle radius. If it's not already on the tablet, come down and select circle radius. I lost sense of how much real estate I'm looking for, so I might zoom in. Okay, there's my 3-unit radius circle. Again, I suggest start with a circle. That way you can O-snap at its center and at its quadrants. The array command is on a flyout here on the modify palette. You know, time permitting, we may play with rectangular array. That's rows and columns, like a checkerboard. Path, not quite sure how useful that is yet, but polar array is what our lesson today's covered. And it'll, again, put chairs around a round table, as shown on the tooltip if you wait long enough. Old aircraft, old biplanes used to have radial engines with an odd number of cylinders. And of course, flanges in piping have, I don't know how few, 4, maybe 4 might be the smallest number, but you know, like a gun turret on a battleship might have 50 hex head bolts holding it down to the deck. So just make one bolt and replicate it with this polar array command. Okay, so we got our circle, 3 radius circle for the 2 triangle parts of today's in-class exercise. Let's click polar array. I'm sorry, we're doing polygon, not polar array. I'm jumping ahead of myself, trying to talk and think at the same time. Polygon is on a drop down from the rectangle command. And again, it's good for triangles, squares, pentagons, hexagons. I forget what you call a 7-sided thing. Heptagon, octagon, on and on. Hexagon is probably by far the most common use of the polygon command. So I'll click on the polygon command after making a circle to O-snap with. Command line comes back with, how many sides do you want? Well, 3, just to make a simple triangle, and hit enter. AutoCAD comes back with specify the center of the polygon. Well, with Burgener's 5 favorite O-snaps, just hover around the circumference of the circle and it homes in on the center. Click when you see the green circle homing in on the center. Next is asked for, do you want the polygon, the three-sided polygon inscribed inside the circle or circumscribed outside the circle? And let's see, on the left side of today's assignment, the triangle is outside, so let's select circumscribed about circle or outside the circle. Don't forget, in AutoCAD, you can always right-click and select options. I don't think NanoCAD has that capability. We'll see in a second. So I'll launch the circumscribed option. AutoCAD comes back with specify the radius of the circle. Well, this is where O snapping to the quadrants comes in handy. Depending on how the sketch, the engineer sketch, or your academic assignment has it, hopefully you can, one of the quadrants will make the flat side up or down as you want it, and you won't have to rotate it. So I'll click on the 6 o'clock quadrant, and that's all there is to making the first figure. Let's jump over to the 4th one here and make the triangle inscribed. Again, click the polygon command. It's on a 2-icon flyout toolbar on the draw panel of the home tab. So click on polygon command. It's already set for 3. The suggested default in the brackets is 3. That's what I want. I'll hit enter to accept the suggested default. AutoCAD comes back with specify the center of the polygon or edge. One assignment in the textbook requires as you choose the edge option. And I think I got that on the errata sheet. I think it's kind of like a wing nut looking thing. Anyway, that rarely comes up. So let's specify the center of the polygon. Home in again. Slide on the circumference, click on the green circle. It's asking inscribed or circumscribed. We want the smaller triangle inside or inscribed in circle. And much like we had for the circumscribed triangle, hopefully selecting one of the quadrants will meet the requirement. It's rare that you might have to go up at a 45-degree angle. The top quadrant forms the small triangle on your page 4-1. So there's our triangle. We can do the pentagon and the hexagon, but if nobody has objections, let's save time and I'll go through I'll get you underway with the homework. If we skimp a little bit on the page 4-1 and 4-2 homework assignment or in-class handouts. Everybody with me with how to make a polygon?
Yep.
The difference is,
Yes.
obviously pick 5 sides or 6 sides and pick inscribed or circumscribed. Okay, let's move on to polar arrays now. And no sooner than I told you we'd skimp. I remember that we got a 5/8 bolt as part of the exercise to do a polar array. Not a problem. Let's make the hex head bolt. Wish I could zoom in a little more so you could see this. For some reason anyway. Again, I got some narrative here, some kind of a step-by-step. Again, I point out I find it easy to draw the circle first, and that gives you something to object snap to. So let's draw a okay, here we go, a 1 unit. I'm sorry, earlier I told you 5/16 or 5/8 hexagon. It's a 5/8 round bolt with a 1 unit hexagon around it. So you turn this hexagon with a 1 unit wrench. So let's first start with the circle diameter tool. And we'll start with the Circle, I believe if we zoom in close, there's really two circles. But, man, what the heck, let's draw both circles. Center diameter, pick a random point. It's asking for circle diameter. Cover up the NanoCAD so it doesn't confuse. Where were we? I think I just interrupted the process.
Oh, thank you for covering that NanoCAD.
Okay. I'll completely cover AutoCAD when we in a second here. Type in 0.625 decimal for 5/8. Looks like I hit comma instead of period. Period at 625. Enter. While we're drawing circles, let's click that icon again. Now it's on the panel, but for good measure, remember it's also on the flyout. I'll home in on the center and type 1, enter. Now the hexagon will be outside of this 1 unit diameter circle. So that would be circumscribed about the circle. We'll click on polygon command, enter the number of sides. We want 6 for the standard hexagon bolt. Specify the center of the polygon. As always, hover the no snap on the center. Pick inscribed or circumscribed. We want circumscribed outside, so I'll select circumscribed option. Last step is what's the radius? How is that? It's got the points up and down, not the flats up and down. So I'll O-snap at the 3 or 9 o'clock quadrants. So the hexagon is oriented like the handout. And there's our single nut and bolt sticking out of a flange. Let's draw the circle about which we will array these bolts. It's an 8 unit diameter circle shown in the magenta in the middle of page 4-1. To be on the safe side, I'm going to draw a line from the center point of that circle down 4 units, 8 unit diameter or 4 unit radius. So the center of the 8 unit radius circle will be at the bottom of this 4 unit line. Click on center diameter. I suppose I could have gone radius. Type 8, enter for the diameter. And there we got the circle about which we'll replicate the nut and bolt. While we're drawing circles though, let's make the flange diameter. Handout says the outer edge of this flange cap, kind of just a blank off dead end, you know, of a pipe. Keep the dust out maybe during the till the entire hydraulic system. Anyway, let's go to circle diameter again. What happened? We have another visitor coming in. Let me, okay, Aaron is coming in. Hello, Aaron. I thought you had already joined us, Aaron. I thought a guest came in called Brack. Maybe you stepped out. I'll figure that out later. Where was I? Circle command says specify the center point. I think in my sliding around I interrupted the process here. I'll go to the center point of the circle and O-snap at that end point or O-snap at that center point. Not sure why I can't force it to home in on the center point, but I know it's the same point, so either one's good. what I say?
10.
Thank you. 10 unit diameter. Eventually, we'll erase these guidelines, chalk lines. Now we're ready to replicate this nut and bolt. How many are there? 8. Yeah, 4 and 4 is 8. We want 8 of the total replication of these 2 circles and hexagon around this bolt center circle. And that's kind of the default way of making a polar array. In some cases, you might have 3 replications that are 17.5 degrees apart. So there's an option to put 3 at 17.5 apart. There's an option to put specify the angle and put, anyway, we'll get there in a second. Let's go to the polar array command. As I started out carelessly, it's polar array is on the modify panel of the home tab of the ribbon. Time permitting, we'll play with rectangular. Stay with the handout as much as possible. I'm going to click polar array. I believe if you type the word polar enter, you need to specify which style, rectangular or polar. With the icons built in. Click on the polar array icon. Polar array command says select objects. Well, that would be these, 4 objects, 2 circles and a polygon, which happens to be a polyline. We'll learn in a few weeks. It's not 6 lines, it's 1 line with 6 vertices in it. So it's kind of a data intensive object because of all the points of it. Anyway, we'll select those objects. 3 were found. Again, the 2 circles and the 1 polyline formed with the polygon command. Hit enter to tell AutoCAD we're finished selecting. Don't forget, if you overselect, hold the shift button to deselect. Don't forget your blue and green left and right windows. Some of you have gotten the hang of the lasso. Don't know if I ever will. That's okay. I'll hit enter to tell AutoCAD I'm finished defining my selection set, which I want to replicate for the polar array process. By the way, the total number of objects includes the original. You know, when the first time I learned this, I says, well, wait a minute, I'm making 7 copies of this. Why am I typing 8? Well, because the polar array includes the original in the number of replications of the object. Let's see, base point would be the center of the flange, or the center of the shaft of the fan motor. So I'll invoke the base point by clicking on the command line, typing B, enter, or I think students prefer the right-click method. Home in on the end point or the center of the circle. Now what happened?
I think you just select the endpoint without doing the B.
You're right.
I did it on my end and it worked, but I didn't get the number of arrays that I want, and I don't see how to do that yet.
Well, you're right. I never noticed that before. But okay, it's prompting for center point of array. Disregard the options, just click on it. Center point. Oh, I'm sorry. What it's asking for now is kind of like the hanging point of the objects. If you're making a Ferris wheel, the base point would be the spot on the Ferris wheel seat that is hung by the Ferris wheel circle. So I should have practiced more. O-snap here at the point of the object where we want to hang each or thumbtack each copy to the bolt circle. Got a bunch of options here. Pick the items option by clicking the items, word items on the command prompt. Again, I'll right click and pick items. Enter the number of items in the array. Again, this includes the original. There's 8 total, including the original. So I'll type 8 and hit enter. Ah, nuts. I just replicated it on top of itself 8 times. How embarrassing. All right, let's try that again. Select everything, enter, specify center point of array.
There's the center point of your circle. Yep.
Right.
Boom. Now items. 8.
Right. There we go. Hit enter to exit the polar array command. It gives you the chance to change your mind on how many items. Looks like you even can go into 3D with the number of levels. If you change your mind, instead of 8 around the full circle, you want 30 degrees between them, or 45 degrees would be result in the same, but you can specify a few. Anyway, let's see, items, right click, pick items. Didn't I just do that? Oh, hit enter to bail out. We're back to command prompt. Now the beauty of this array process, this came about recently, 2015 or 2017, I think. The beauty of it is that this array is a single object. So hours or weeks or a year later, you can double click on the array and change it to 12 or change it to 6.
Oh, cool.
Like that, huh? Instead of going around a 360, you can say I want them all to go around 270 degrees. Once you explode the array, you can no longer modify it so easily. I'll set it back to 8 around the full circle and hit escape or enter. All right, Burgener. Escape got me out of there. I'll erase the, later when we learn center lines, you might convert this into a red broken line, short gap, long gap, short, center line. But that's another, I think that's next week's or Thursday's exercise. But hypothetically, say you want to change one from a bolt to a pin. Maybe an odd size pin to ensure that the disc of the flange lines up perfectly with the point, the similar point on the flange welded to the pipe. I suppose you could double click on it and make it change it from 8 to 7 and do the arithmetic, and, but without having to do the arithmetic, you can explode the array, and it blasts it down to 8 different copies of the 3 objects. Let me demonstrate that. The explode command is this glass box bursting on the modify panel of the home tab. Click anywhere on the array and hit enter. Now each and every circle and hexagon is a separate, unique object. So I can erase. It'd probably be wise to leave it intact for homing in on the center. Let's say our bolt is a, I don't know, 1¼ inch diameter. Drop down to the circle center diameter, snap at center, what do I say, 1.25. And simply erase everything else. So that would be the indexing pin, easily done by exploding the array. Again, after you explode it, you're forever lost the capability to modify the array. Maybe the next class of sub has socket-headed cap screws instead of double-ended studs and hexagon nuts holding these together. Let me quickly demonstrate the rectangular array. I'll just copy one of these off to the side here. The rectangular array is on the same flyout as polar array. Click the icon and follow the steps. Select the objects and hit enter. Let's see, I'd suggest specify the number of columns you want in this matrix. So I'll right click and pick columns, and I'll say, I don't know, 8 columns. Specify the distance between the columns. I don't know how it came up with a 1.5, but let's change it to 2, enter. Now we haven't defined the number of rows yet. So let's invoke the rows option. Make it say 6 rows. Notice that the positive number sends them up and to the right, following the Cartesian coordinate system method. Hit enter to finish. All right, hit escape to finish. Now check it out. A year later, you can double click on it and change the rows to say 12 rows. And the columns down to say 4 columns. Or the row spacing up to say 2.5. Hit escape to clear out. I used this back when I was doing Army transportation. I'd have a little symbol for a Humvee or a M1 tank lined up in a somebody's farm field waiting to get on the go down to the railroad track or to the ship. Well, maybe one of them was some oddball thing. So I might explode this entire matrix and erase the one oddball. Maybe there's a tow truck or a generator in there. So I'd go ahead and, I won't take time here, but I'll draw my tow truck or wrecker, whatever you call it, whatever. Again, once you explode the array, you lose that capability of modifying the parameters of the array forever, unless you undo back to past the explode process. I'm having a deja vu moment. I thought there was a angle. I thought it asked specify the angle. We'd have 0 degrees, but you can rotate it in the process of making it by specifying the angle, but don't see that now. Everybody good with or at least polar arrays?
I'm good.
Okay, this last exercise, I gave you a starter file that had the, I think this is an 8-unit D for diameter, 8 units. I'm just kind of winging it here. Rather than take the starter file, let me just swag it here. It's quick and dirty blade to a ceiling fan. Let's make it a 3-blade or a 5-blade ceiling fan. I'll pick polar array, select everything, enter, specify base point, dead center of the motor, specify the items, say 5 and hit enter, and hit escape to get out of the command. Change your mind, budget overrun. All right, we'll drop it down to a 4-blade fan until you explode the array. You have that capability. All right, coming up 4 o'clock. Want to take a 10-minute break? Tell you what, let me go straight into NanoCAD. And those of you that don't have NanoCAD, maybe take a break, 5 minutes or less. Polygon command in NanoCAD. Let me enlarge it so we don't get confused here. Kind of in the same position, same kind of sort of in the similar spot as AutoCAD, but this little pentagon shape is the polygon command in NanoCAD. Instead of being on a flyout with rectangle, it's a separate icon. So let's do the, say the pentagon at the top of page 4-1. I'll click the NanoCAD polygon icon, specify, say, I should have made the circle first. 5 for the pentagon. Specify a center. I'll just eyeball a point. We want it circumscribed about a 5 radius circle. So I'll click on, again, I don't think you can right click. Oh, good. Okay, I don't know why I was saying right click. Oh, okay, I'm getting confused with IntelliCAD that you had to go out of your way to get this menu. So one way or another, invoke the circumscribed option. Now it's asking for the radius. You can either go polar to the right, polar 45, polar down. Polar down will make the pentagon on the left side at the top of page 4-1. And specify a radius of 4, enter. Now, how do I draw the circle after the fact? AutoCAD's got this geocenter O-snap. It'll pick the center at which you could put a nail and the thing would perfectly balance. Without that, not a problem. Wait a minute here. Let's draw a line from corner to midpoint. And then from corner to intersection. Right there is the center. Launch the circle center radius. Okay, interesting. There's no flyout. Click on the circle icon. Specify the center of the circle. And specify the radius. What was that again? Did I type 4 or 5 earlier? Looks like I specified 4 earlier. So type 4, enter, and there we go. And then erase the, got a newcomer coming in, erase the chalk lines. Who just joined us? Okay, Elizabeth joined us. Sorry, took a second to admit you. I still haven't figured out how you can join the Zoom session without me having to click the admit button. Elizabeth is with us. Next in NanoCAD, we got the polar array command. Click in NanoCAD and these toolbars come back. By the way, you get the toolbars to come up with, I believe it's tools, customize, interface. And I think at this point of training, we only need the modify and the draw toolbars. You can have, various toolbars up. Let me click the snap toolbar and close out. Instead of holding the shift button and right clicking to do an OSNAP override, you can simply click on the respective object snap on this toolbar. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is drag the toolbar out and you can resize it to make it look more like an AutoCAD panel. Now, playing over the weekend, I think if I slide it up, it goes back to a straight line. Yeah, so the way you work around is to hold the control button. That way you can put it over the top of the NanoCAD screen. And it won't cover up so much of your drawing area. I'll close the snap. Where were we? Polar array. Okay. I believe I'll click the 2D array and immediately select polar or rectangular. I'll click the array command and immediately select polar. We don't know the absolute coordinate, so let's select this pick center point. And I'll just eyeball a point below. Again, I should have drawn the circle to begin with. Say I want 8 around the circle. You got the different options how to make a polar array. Let's make it 8 around the full circle. At leave it rotated. The only time you would not rotate as you polar array is for the example of a Ferris wheel. You want all the seats to hang down due to gravity. So a Ferris wheel is the only example I can think of where you would not want to rotate as the replications are made. What else? Pick objects. Hit enter when finished picking objects. And click OK. And it looks like NanoCAD is a bit behind AutoCAD. It's more like AutoCAD 2000 was, where the polar array is not an editable single object. If you change your mind, and then you put a bookmark here. Why can't I OSnap? Oh, because I got OSnap turned off. Okay, it's set right, but I had it turned off. I'll draw a line from here to there, hoping that the middle of that line is the center of the circle I want. I'll erase all but the top replicated object. Click Array, click Polar, change it from, what did I have before, 8, make it say 12. Select the same objects again and click OK, and nothing happened. I think I just replicated 12 on top of themselves again. Always something. Okay, that's 8. L from center to center. Erase everything except the top and the guideline. Polar array. Okay, I failed to pick the center point. That's what I did wrong. Midpoint of this line. Select objects. Specify 12. And click OK. There we go. Erase the chalk line that I used just to find approximately the center of the flange. Aaron, you still tuned in? Okay.
There you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
Aaron, I know you're one of the NanoCAD users.
Mm-hmm.
Were you tuned in, or did you slip out when I said let's take a break?
Oh no, I stayed here. I'm actually trying to follow you right now. I have no opened up.
Good. Can I show you anything again, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm actually at the point where you have the circle inside of the hexagon. Hexagon, right? Yeah. So I just got to the point now where I have the window open for array, and I just selected polar array.
All right, let me catch up with you here. And I'll draw a line straight down. Make it say 40 units straight down. That'll be the center of my polar array. To catch up with you, click on the array icon, specify polar style. Sally's joining us. Hello, Sally. We're covering the polar array command with NanoCAD for the student or 2 or 3 that do not have AutoCAD. After launching the array command, we'll check polar style. we'll say, I don't know, 12 different replications, including the first. We'll leave it a full circle, not 180 degrees, not 270, but a full circle, 360 degrees. We need to select the center point. Nobody knows the absolute coordinate. So click on this pick point with your mouse. Specify the center of the circle or the end of your guideline. All that's left is select objects. Hit enter to tell AutoCAD you selected no more, no less than what you want to modify command to operate with, and hit enter. And click OK. Dun, 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 dun. Again, IntelliCAD, that's the problem with it. The only NanoCAD that we can keep forever, I think, is this very old 5.0, which might be comparable to, I'm guessing, AutoCAD 2000-ish. Maybe a little bit newer. All set, Aaron?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what I did. It looks nothing like yours.
You might not have the same length of line here. This is a 40 unit line. And I think these circles are all, where's the ID or identify? Okay, then I just simply click on a circle, right click and properties. Keep wanting to type list, L-I-S-T, which is the AutoCAD way to find a little bit of information about an object, but properties will work. I got a 8 unit diameter circle, so if you chose a different diameter for your polygon to be circumscribed about, or a different length of the line, I'll hit escape to deselect everything. The line I got is 40 units long, straight down. Let's start from scratch. Here we'll draw a circle. Click, and we'll make it, say, 2 unit radius. Click on it, and we'll see the radius is 2. I'll click 2D array, specify polar. Rats, I forgot to draw my guideline again. All right, let me bail out and draw a line straight down from the center of this 2 unit radius and make the center of the flange, say, 20 units down. So this is a 2 unit radius circle. Hit escape to deselect. Click on the line, and properties or inspectors shows you that it's 20 units straight down the Y direction. Hit escape to deselect. Click array. Click polar. Click pick center point. O snap at the bottom of the 20 unit vertical line. Specify the number, let's call it 12. Around the full circle. We haven't selected objects yet. Let's click on the select object button here, and that'll allow us to use windowing. Hit enter when the circle or the hexagon or whatever is we are replicating. Hit enter. Click OK. There's the 12 2-unit radius circles about the 20 unit radius bolt circle. The outer flange would be something bigger, like 25 maybe. Or erase the guidelines. Now, Aaron, do you have the 5 O snaps on?
Yeah, I think what happened was when I was setting the settings for the polar array, and I had to select my item. No, not select my item. When I had to choose my midpoint, I actually chose the center of my circle, and it came out looking kind of weird. So then I did the opposite, and actually came out looking how you have it. Well, somewhat how you have it, because it also copied all of my guidelines. But I mean, it still created 12 items like it was supposed to.
Okay. I think after tonight's homework, you'll have it down.
Okay.
All right, everybody, AutoCAD users back from break. Don't believe I got anybody waiting to be admitted. Let me take a pic of this. I'm kind of sloppy when it comes to taking attendance. Being incredibly lazy, I'll take a pic of the list here. Looks like we got Aaron, Alexandria, Ahmed, Ali, Dan, Elizabeth, and Sally. So what's that, 7 students today? Okay, let's move on to page 4-2. I'll lose this page 4-1 by shutting off that window, Chrome Explorer window. The second part of today's class, I want to learn you the offset command, and later the stretch command. Let's go ahead straight to the exercise. Let me enlarge this a bit so it's easier to follow. Just with the CAD system's line command, walk your way around and try to stop at every single intersection. Don't go 20 from here to there. Go 10 units to the middle and then 10 units again. That way you have a point right there to O-snap to come down 10 units. Not sure how big this is going to be, so that's okay. I'll start the line command in AutoCAD, start in the upper left corner. We're assuming an AutoCAD unit represents a foot now. I'll type 12, enter. Taking advantage of polar tracking, set to 45 or 90 degrees, I'll aim straight down and say 4 and hit enter. Now, even though I got a dimension 20, I suggest stop at, draw one line at 10 and hit enter. And draw a second line at 10 and hit enter. So that way right there, you've got an endpoint. You can O-snap later. By the way, this upper left room is supposed to be a garage. I haven't figured out how to draw a door, a roll-up door yet. So maybe next class. We're at the upper right corner. Let's aim down with polar tracking, type 10, enter. Continue downward with the cursor, type 5, enter. Continue downward, like you might call the guest room, 9, enter. 10, enter to the left. And it looks like 22 will get us directly below this start point. 12 for the garage and 10 for the front wall between this endpoint and that endpoint. So 22, hit enter and C or right click and pick close. Alexandria, who's speaking?
Oh, that wasn't me.
Okay, I heard it sounded like a woman's voice, but I was getting a little bit of a feedback.
That was me. I'm sorry. Allie's here now, and I was using my cell phone as Dan. I thought you wanted to make that segmented. You went close on that vertical line.
Yeah, you're right. I'm an idiot. Let's erase that.
All right, that's just what I wanted to check. Thanks.
Okay. Click on line, we'll O-snap. And this would be 8 and 20. You're right. So that gives me an endpoint right there. I'll select everything so you can, I guess every other grip is an endpoint of a line. Hit escape to deselect and get rid of the grips. Now, taking advantage of those endpoints we put in the middle of long lines, there's one at each top and bottom of the bathroom, home in on the appropriate endpoint and continue on. That's 8 to the left, 5, enter down and back to the endpoint. Invoke the line command again. Hitting enter will bring up the last line or last command. Start at this bottom endpoint, send it 11, enter up. And then simply O-snap on the intersection. Make a little bookshelf or closet there. Eventually, we're going to have the center, call it the exterior, one of the parallel lines that forms the, 6-inch wide wall, if you will. 10 down, O-snap to the end point. All that's left now is the inside surface of the wall of the garage. Send that 12 units and then O-snap. I'm not going to collect this, so don't sweat the load if yours isn't identical to mine. Again, I expect the fall semester or quarter, I think is a bit more accurate. In the fall, I believe they're going to offer both intro and intermediate again. And the general rule is that 10 people have to enroll before they'll make the class. A few weeks ago, way fewer than 10 enrolled in intermediate. If those 3 or 4 or however many there were enroll again, and most of y'all enroll, we'll get 10 to form an intermediate class in the fall. Like it or not, it's going to be identical with Zoom and Google Classrooms again. They doubt this quarantine is going to last past the fall. Fall semester ends, I believe, I think it's Thanksgiving time. Anyway, I doubt we'll have free AutoCADs for everybody as I hoped, months ago. I'll try to stick with NanoCAD, but other stakeholders in the project have suggested some other AutoCAD workalikes. So I got to study them, and maybe I'll find they're better than NanoCAD, but I highly doubt it. Anyway, next step is we're going to replicate the lines we just drew, and replicate them into the small room. In other words, copy this line into the bedroom, this line into the bedroom, this line into the garage. Again, don't worry if you don't do it. Anyway, we're going to use the offset command to replicate these. In this case, since the lines are all horizontal and vertical, the offset command is not much, if anything, different than the copy command. The beauty where the offset command, is more capable than copy is on a diagonal line. This odd angle, I don't have a polar tracking line to place a copy. With the copy command, I could draw a perpendicular line and snap near points on it, but that's several steps more than the offset command. The offset command in AutoCAD's this little double line icon in the lower right of the Modify panel of the Home tab. Can't remember if it's the same or a little different in NanoCAD. We'll click Offset. My instructions here say offset the walls 0.5. Remember, an AutoCAD unit is a foot now, so we're going to offset it half a foot or 6 inches. So type 0.5 to answer the question, specify the offset distance. Disregard the other options. On rare, back when I was teaching descriptive geometry, the through option was handy, but I think descriptive geometry's kind of gone the way of the slide rules. Type 0.5 for half a foot offset distance and hit enter. Next step of the offset command is select the object that you want to offset or replicate. Last step is specify which side you want the copy to be placed. You only got two options, one side or the other. And some of you will pick differently than I do, so don't sweat the load. Click on the side you want the the parallel copy to be. You got exactly a half a unit between the two parallel copies. Now, right now you've got the black lines shown in step 2. I'm going to use the offset command to form the wide green lines. And where the one important thing is that the bathroom walls be offset away from the bathroom. So that'll maintain the 5-foot spacing for a short standard bathtub to go. I don't know how many people buy a 5-foot bathtub. Anyway, we'll click the offset command again. We've already set the offset distance to 0.5, kind of like the fillet command's radius setting. Once you set it, it stays until you change it. So we'll hit enter to say, yep, that's what I want to keep using. Select the existing line and click. Generally, it's into the smaller room. With the exception of the bathtub, you want to go out from the smaller room. That bookshelf is getting pretty small now. Guess it doesn't matter which way you go here, but just machine gun away. Again, the copy command is almost as good. I think you'd have to keep typing 0.5 enter for each and every copy. But everything we've done with the offset command for these orthographic lines, horizontal and vertical, can be done with the copy command. While you're working, let me give you a little, oh, by the way, you can offset a circle. I'll keep it at 0.5. Notice the offset command keeps going and going like the Energizer bunny. Kind of like the line command. You got to hit enter to make it stop. So I'll just keep clicking the last one and keep clicking inward. And it's a quick way to make BB targets. You can also, let me trim away a circle. We learned the trim command some time ago, and I'll delete the line. You can also offset an arc inward or outward. Pretty soon we'll learn polylines. Just in case I forget, somebody remind me when we learn polylines. Offset them too. Just occurred to me. Here's a poly. This is a polyline. You can offset Let me change the distance to say 0.2, enter. The risky thing though, I guess I'll go ahead and show you now. You know, these polygons can be grip edited. You know, with no command active, just grab a grip and you know, move it. You can also convert polylines to arcs by resting on the center grip and clicking convert to arc, or add a vertex to add another bend point. What I wanted to show you is you can offset things too far in. See, I just offset to create this guy. Be aware that I cannot offset the tiny one to return to where I was. You know, stop mentioning that because I kind of doubt you'll ever encounter that in real life. All right, everybody done offsetting the walls of their little condo here? I'll erase my garbage. I hear a click or two, so maybe someone's still working. Let me do
You said the offset into the smaller room, the smaller area.
correct, with the exception of the bathroom.
The bathroom. Yeah, I'm doing it on NanoCAD, but for some reason I'll click inside the in a room, but it'll still offset the line to the outside of the room.
I'd suggest zoom in, and I'm kind of guessing your mouse is sliding before your finger releases the mouse button. Let me catch up with you, Aaron, on what's this called again? NanoCAD. I'll click line 12, 4, 10, 10, 10, 5, 9, 10, 22, yeah, 22, 8, and close. Connect the dots. Okay, I'll call that good enough, Aaron. I think just with these few rooms, you'll get the hang of it. Where's the offset command? There it is. So between the mirror command and the array command is the NanoCAD offset command. So we'll make sure it says command prompt, hit escape. If it doesn't say command prompt, hit escape if it's if you got grips on. By the way, I can trim this little whisker away anytime. So click on offset icon in NanoCAD. Just like AutoCAD, it says specify the offset distance. We'll do the same as AutoCAD colleagues did, 0.5 and hit enter. And then start picking lines. Again, we're forming the dark green lines in step 2. Okay, let me return to AutoCAD and we'll go to step 3. And that is to clean up all these corners. Some of them you'll need to fill it at a 0 radius to make the lines come to a point. Most of them you'll just trim away the short little whiskers here. I think this may be the only one that's unusual and calls for a fillet with a 0 radius. Let's do that one first. We'll launch the fillet command. We'll set the radius option to 0. It's already 0, but good measure. And click closer to the ends we want to form the 0 radius bend. The rest of them we can machine gun with the trim command. So launch trim, zoom in, and oh, I'm sorry, my bad, I forgot. Hit trim, hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge. Now zoom in and blast away all those whiskers. By the way, this fence option might be user-friendly here. Yeah, you can invoke the fence option. I tend to simply hit F enter and zigzag like this. And that might be a little bit easier than getting a direct hit on them. Now that I think of it, you can use the fillet command on most of these intersections. Doubt it's any easier than just machine gunning away all the whiskers with the trim command. Let me toggle over to IntelliCAD. And where's the trim icon? There you go. When you stretch the modify toolbar into a square, the trim icon is directly below the move icon. So click on trim. Slid off of it. Click on trim. Hit enter so that everything is a cutting edge. Zoom in and machine gun away the whiskers. Like we did in AutoCAD, I got one I need to fillet at a 0 radius, so I'll go to the fillet icon in NanoCAD. Interesting, there's the explode icon. I didn't get a chance to demonstrate it because there's no need to explode arrays in NanoCAD because arrays are not a new unique object. They're just simple replications of the existing objects. Anyway, click on fillet. Ensure that the radius is set for 0. A little different interface here than AutoCAD. Click OK. And click on the 2 points you want to merge with a 0 radius. A little bit to clean up. Yep. Go ahead and trim that guy. Trim everything a cutting edge. Click, click. And I will erase that stray line. AutoCAD probably still has a command called mline. It's so unpopular that you got to go out of your way to find it because it was so buggy when it came out. I think that was in release 13 and early 90s, 94 maybe. Anyway, with mline, M-L-I-N-E, so long since I've done this. With mline, you can draw a double line from the get-go. The reason it never caught on was because trimming out these intersections is unreliable. I think you got to bring up a mline edit command. ML edit. Select the type of intersection you like. And nothing happens. A little bit of trivia there. Anybody still working on trimming and filleting their floor plan?
Hey, Paul,
Yes.
can you redo that, what you just did?
All right. Again, I don't believe you see it done with the possible exception of somebody designing a freeway. The multi-line command is, it's tucked out of the way. So I'm just going to type mline, enter. I'll leave the justification, scale, and style as they are by default and just immediately go clicking. By altering the justification, scale, and style, you can have a dozen different parallel lines, and some of them are hidden lines, center lines, some of them are yellow, some of them are blue. You can have, I keep thinking of those chalk holders when you were in grade school learning to read music. The teacher would just, make a whole musical bar, and one's, anyway. Again, you can, a highway operator might have a line going right down the center with dashes for a 2-lane road, solid line for no passing. The problem was that trimming these joints was unreliable. And that's done with the multi-line edit. Hit escape to bail out, ML edit. Pick the type of editing you want to use. In this case, if we had a center line, it would, the one, I'm not sure if this will be the first one you pick or the second one. Probably the first one you pick will be continuous. The second one you pick will be trimmed. Let's see. First one I picked should be continuous. Second one other way around. Want you to again, maybe make a elbow. Add a vertex. Why did that not work? Yuck. Here's another example where it's not very user-friendly. Ready to move on to step 4? Now let's say Uncle Harry just died and left you another 10 grand, so your condo can get another, I don't know how many, 20 square feet. I should know this stuff. So you can enlarge rooms with the extra money. So we're going to change this dimension. Remember, it was 20, 10 here, 10 there. We want it to be 13 here and 10 there. We want to grab hold of these 3 rooms and stretch them 3 feet to the right with the stretch command. And a little reminder, check out my old YouTube videos. The hard part about the stretch command is remembering that you absolutely have to use a crossing window. And the lines that are crossed with the crossing window are the ones that turn into rubber. So if I want these 3 rooms to move, I'd completely enclose them with the crossing window. And I want these 2 and these 2 lines to turn into rubber, to stretch longer or compress shorter. So my crossing window would cross here. I'd have a green dotted line window that has an edge turning these 4 lines into rubber. Stretch command is below copy and to the left the scale in AutoCAD. Why is not the tooltip showing up? That's okay. I'll click on the stretch command. Oh, I forgot. I got grips here. Hit escape, escape. There we go. Click on the stretch command. Now, which way do I start? On the right side or the left side to make a crossing window?
The right side.
Correct. So I'll start high or low on the right side, end diagonally across my window so that the dotted line of the crossing window cuts those 4 lines that I want to turn into rubber. Everything totally enclosed will simply be moved. I'll click to conclude my crossing window and hit enter. Pick a point to then start the stretch procedure, kind of sort of like the move or copy process. Taking advantage of polar tracking, I'll keep my cursor pointed straight to the right and type the distance that I want to stretch those 4 lines I crossed and moved all those lines that were totally enclosed. And that gave us an extra 3 feet of width on the, whatever you call this, dining room, living room. Now be on the lookout. It's the last crossing window that you, trying to think of a good example here. You know, there might be some things you want to leave, you don't want to move. So you might hold the shift button and deselect something. Anyway, if you modify your selection set with a crossing window a second time, all bets are off. The crossing window that the stretch command will operate on is the newest or the last crossing window. Again, crossing window, I'll take it out 5, 4, I'll undo to get it back to where we were. I believe if you got a circle, the center of the circle must be within the crossing window to move. If your crossing window for the stretch command is, whoa, escape, stretch. Do not include the center of that circle, then the circle will remain stationary and not move. Stretch it again, including the center of the circle. And the circle move. I'll undo to get back and delete the circle. Going to NanoCAD, the stretch command is very similar looking icon, but in a different spot. Like in AutoCAD, it's right next to scale. Click on the stretch command in NanoCAD. Draw the same crossing window so that the rooms are totally enclosed and the lines or the walls that you want to turn to rubber are crossed. Hit enter to finish defining your selection set. Pick a point anywhere, and with polar tracking, you can stretch it right or left 3 units. Similarly, all right, Burgener, where's my handouts? Well, I lost the, there we go. We've completed step 4. Oh, no, we haven't. We need to stretch this bottom wall from 9 units to 14. So that would be a 5-unit stretch to pull the bottom of the floor plan down. Continuing with NanoCAD, I'll click stretch. I'll form a crossing window starting on the right and ending on the left. And everything that is enclosed will move, and what is crossed will turn to rubber. Click enter to tell it you're finished defining your selection set. Pick a point with polar tracking as a guide. Type the distance you want to stretch up or down and hit enter. Same thing in AutoCAD. Stretch, crossing window, enter, pick a point, any point, down. And for good measure, remember you can stretch things shorter. What's crossed turns to rubber to either stretch it or squeeze it. Okay, I got 5 o'clock. The rest of page 4-2 is making a symbol for a window, making a symbol for a table, a chair, a bathtub, and a door. The point is, after you've done one window and one table and one chair, you can copy it, maybe copy it twice and stretch one copy to make it into a love seat and stretch another copy to make it into a sofa. Let me demonstrate that with just with the chairs, because I want to get on with the homework assignment. Let's see, making a chair. It's a 2x2 square. 2x2x2 and C. The offset is 0.2 foot, 0.2 of a foot. So I'll offset 3 sides by a factor of 0.2, enter. Replicate the 3 sides in. I'll machine gun trim using everything as a cutting edge. Well, I got one chair, I'll copy it twice. It's probably be smart if I made the table now and copied it at the same time. Let's see, one copy, put the other copy a little further to the side. Check it out, I'll stretch this chair into a love seat by stretching it 1 unit. Oh, I got confused. I did the 3 for the table. It should stretch 2 units, so I'll stretch it 1 more unit. I'll stretch this chair from 2 to 6. That would be a stretching of 4. Get another Another participant, Anna, is joining us. Anna, welcome aboard. I believe the recording is working, so same way as we've done in past weeks, except for the first week, play the recording, and as usual, the first 30 minutes is a bunch of garbage, so just slide it over to about 30 minutes gets into the new content. Anyway, after getting the 3 windows, the 3 tables, the 3 chairs, and bathtub, and all that, feel free to copy these guys and maybe rotate one of the copies. Maybe mirror the copies. Anyway, get them going every direction. And you can move these things like you're building a dollhouse. Move the, I forget where the sofa is. Okay, it's about here. I'll rotate him 180 degrees. You get the idea. When it comes to the dining room table, take advantage of the mirror command. You put one chair at one end, move it a few inches away, mirror it across the midline to here, mirror it across a 45-degree line off the corner to make that copy, and just mirror, 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 mirror until you got all 6 chairs around the dining room table. Doors are a little bit tricky. Let's see, we'll make a door 0.5. Something went wrong, that's way too short. No, I think that is right. Half a unit. From the top, we'll make a line 2.5. What would that be? 30 inches. Exterior door. Double check I'm in the tracking line. 2.5, enter. Draw another line or mirror it. Draw a circle from the hinge to the low. Drop down center radius. Draw a 45-degree line. Line intersection. Trim away garbage. Erase the chalk line. And there you got a door that you can, I think it takes 8 copies to get a door to swing the right direction in the right direction. I think I'll mirror this guy. Nope. Well, I'll mirror him anyway. Mirror him again. Mirror these 2 again. Now between these 8 doors, you can move or copy the one you want to replicate the final step on the page 4-2. The front door would be this guy. So I'll move or copy. I'll zoom in, hold shift to deselect that guy. snap at an endpoint. And then using I don't want to put them at the endpoint there. I want to put them about at a near point. I could snap him there and move him a few inches, a few fractions of a foot, or do it right the first time, hold the shift button, right click, invoke the nearest snap. And that'll allow me to put the door reasonably away from the corner. Trim, enter, shave away the garbage. Want to take another break? Aaron, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I'll do it in the NanoCAD. Start with a chair, down 2, left 2, up 2, C for close, offset, distance should be 0.2, enter. Launch trim, enter so that everything is a cutting edge, shave away whiskers, copy, place a copy close and a copy further, stretch the close one 2 units, and stretch the other copy 4 units. Make some mirror copies. And make some at a 45-degree. I kind of poorly picked the 45. Whoops, let me start over again. Mirror, select everything. There. Now between all these, I believe you can copy exactly what you want into the position you want. Copy. In case of the door, we'll draw a 0.5 unit line, draw a 2.5 unit line. I'm sorry, I'm hitting L for line instead of using the icons. 0.5 down, or mirror it. We'll launch the circle center radius icon. We'll draw a line at 45 degrees, taking advantage of our polar tracking. And we'll trim away and erase the garbage. Make a bunch of mirror copies again. Hitting enter, enter to replicate, to invoke the last used command. Make some at a 45-degree line. I believe one of these 8 copies will fit everywhere. The bathroom door would be this one right here. So I'll launch copy, select that one of the 8 doors, snap at one of the endpoints, You can O-snap it at the corner and then move it all again. Or it'd be easier to hold the shift button, right click, and snap it to a near point. All that's left is to trim away the walls, enter so everything's a cutting edge. And there's our door to the bathroom. While the others are still on break, let's put another door or two in. How about the front door? Okay, the hinges are right about here and it swings inward. So that would be this one. Launch NanoCAD's copy icon, select the 3 objects that form that flavor a door, hit enter. Go snap at the hinge or the interior wall, wherever. And then put it at a near point. You know, to be perfect, it probably should be a specific distance from the corner, but I don't even know that professional architects are that accurate. Hold shift button, click nearest. All right, Burgener. Did I select the wrong one? Not a problem. I'll just mirror it on itself. Mirror it about a center line. In this case, I'd say, yes, I want to erase the original. Trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge, and shave off the garbage. I did this to the last house we lived in. And I'll have to admit it wasn't as accurate as I thought. I needed to drill a hole that would come right near the hinge in my son's bedroom for a computer cable. So by having the upper floor and the bottom floor overlapping each other, I concluded I can drill a hole in the ceiling of the kitchen pantry at a point and it would come out right there. Well, I had to drill it 2 more times because I was 12 or 16 inches off. Haven't got one started, but haven't finished for the ranch house we're in now. Everybody back from break?
Yep, I'm back.
Okay, Aaron, I got you joining us again. I'm clicking admit. Not sure what. Aaron, you with us again? Your mic's turned off, Aaron. I'm sorry, I didn't notice you something disconnected and
Yeah, I'm back. It seems like the call dropped somehow. But
okay. All right. Well, I guess you'll watch the recording. Is you know, I made chairs copied them and stretched them and made a door and mirrored them and got underway with NanoCAD to put all the furniture, the doors, the windows. If we'd saved the ceiling fan drawing, we could have brought it into this drawing with Windows clipboard. I think that was done with an AutoCAD unit as an inch instead of a foot, though. So we'd have to, after bringing it in, we'd have to scale it by a factor of 1/12, or whatever the decimal equivalent of that is. All right, I got you another 25 minutes. Let's see if I can open up the homework assignment. Again, I tried to upload a homework assignment twice and it just didn't stick. And I haven't figured out why, so. Okay, I think I put it in classwork. Student work, week number 4. How about we do one or the other? Which one looks like the biggest challenge or the most fun? Neither of these are listed on the bottom of page 4-2. I guess I looked at 4-2 and none of them required the polar array process. So I went to these two options instead. No preference?
29.
All right.
9.
29 it is. In my opinion, that's, even though it looks like it's got more ink, I think it's easier because you'll notice if you can just draw 1/10 of this assembly, you can polar array it all the way around and you're done. So starting with AutoCAD. And again, it's a little bit easier on me if you start a new drawing, set the status bar, double check the settings of the two we want on, and save it with your, beginning with your first name. Okay, I won't take time to put it in the right drive. Your first name, say week 4. And then maybe EX29 for exercise 29. And that'll save me from renaming it so I remember whose is whose when I'm looking at them all. Click save. All right, let's start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each of them is dimensioned. I'm guessing this might be a millimeter metric piece. Well, I guess with shipbuilding, you can have things that are 12 feet diameter. Missile tube, how about? Okay, we'll start circle center diameter. Pick a random point. Smallest diameter is 68 in there. Hello. We'll zoom out. just so the, oops, undo. I'll move it so it's away from the origin, and I won't get the clutter of the origin overlapping. Draw circle diameter again, hover, O snap. Next one is 80, enter. Circle diameter again, hover, O snap. 132, enter. Same again. 144, enter. And same again for the bolt circle. Hello, that's done with a radius. So let's drop down and pick center radius instead of center diameter. Hover, O snap. Radius of 8.3, enter. Now I'd suggest we work on the frog eye here at the 3 o'clock position. And then eventually polar array the frog eye around 10 times. Yeah, halfway around we cover 5. So right, 10 total. Let's draw the 2 circles of the frog eye. That's a diameter of 8 and a radius of 10. So we'll start with center diameter, O snap at the quadrant, type 8, enter. And type a radius, or select the center radius circle method, O snap at the quadrant or the center. And specify 10. We also got this spoke thing. Where's the dimension of how, okay, those spokes are 3 units wide. So let's draw a guideline from quadrant here to quadrant there. And how much do we want to offset it up and down so that the top and bottom are 3 units apart? 1.5 will do it. Make an offset copy up, an offset copy down. We'll lose that original. And let's trim away a frog eye. The trim icon. Enter, so everything's a cutting edge. Now, I don't think this will help us any. No, let's leave it. I think we can eventually trim it down to a short arc. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. You coming in for the first time today, or did you step out? Let me take a pic of the attendance before I forget and mess up again. I can remember which button. Got a new phone here. Let's see, 2 twists. Got it. Where was I? Okay, if we had known how to draw colors and line types yet, I think next week we cover layers and get all that. It would be a good idea to put the little bullseye target in the middle of the frog eye now so that it gets replicated 10 times right along with the frog eye. But we haven't learned how to do the center line type and centerline layer that's colored red.
Excuse me, Paul.
Sir, yes.
Dan, did you already extend and trim the two horizontal lines to the curves?
Yeah.
Can you-
Oh, you're right. There is a whisker there.
And at the opposite end also. Thanks.
Yep. You're good eyes, Dan. Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about the slight curvature as an end. You know, you can't quite trust what you see zooming in. Let's do an RE enter for regen. And there's the slight whisker. So let's trim away the whiskers on the right end of the lines. Enter so that everything's a cutting edge. We really didn't cover the extend command, although you can grip edit these. Let me show you both ways. Select it with nothing, no command active, and grab the grip and slide them over to the intersection on polar tracking. And that's grip editing along with OSNAP and object and polar tracking. The other way that probably goes with this class better is the extend command. It's similar to trim, so it's on the same flyout. Click the extend command. In this case, you're selecting boundary edges, not targets, or not cutting edges, but boundary edges. I prefer the word target because you're going to extend to hit a target. So we want to select boundary edges. Again, I suggest select all by hitting enter. Click near the end you want to extend from. And there we got a nice, neat joint, or the ends of each line is perfectly on the circles. Thank you. Let's replicate the circle, the arc, and the two lines 10 times around. Then we'll worry about the arc between the frog eyes. And replicate it as a second separate polar array. Click on the polar array. Remember, it's on a flyout here. Select all this stuff and hit enter.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes, sir.
Dan, I accidentally trimmed my smaller circle to so it's like a half moon shape. Is there a way to remake it into a circle without actually going and remaking a circle?
Well, is it too late to undo, or have you?
Yeah, I heard.
Okay.
I did a
All
bunch
right,
of stuff.
not a problem. Let me get a circle here. This is weeks ahead.
Yeah.
But launch the yeah, this will work.
Edit polyline.
Correct.
Okay.
Remember, a polygon is a special breed of polyline. And next week or week after, we'll study anyway, click on Edit Polyline, select the arc, hit enter. Yes, I want to convert it to one, and use the close option.
Oh, nice. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, polar array, select 1, 2, 3, 4 objects, hit enter. Center point of the array, slide on the perimeter, pick the center. Number of items, right click, pick items, and what do we say? 10. Dun, 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 dun. Now all that's left is we want to get rid of these, we want to trim away these arcs that go across the frog eyes. You could trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge, click, 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 but I'd fall asleep before that. So I'm gonna put a bookmark, or I'm gonna isolate just one long arc here between frog eyes. So we'll still use trim command, but trim away nearly everything of that circle. Enter so that everything's a cutting edge. What happened? Okay, I was in the extend command. Forgot about that. Hit escape, escape, launch trim. Enter so that everything is a cutting edge. Command prompt says select object to trim. Just flip away two of these guys. Then hit enter to get out of trim and erase the great big circle. Now, it would have been more impressive if you had included this arc in the 4 objects we polar arrayed, but it all comes out the same on paper. We'll polar array, select just that arc, hit enter, snap to the center. What do we say? 10, enter. Oh, I gotta invoke the items option, type 10 for the number of 10. By default, it's full circle, 360. Dun, 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 dun. Hit escape to bail out of the trim command. And pretty soon I'm going to have you putting text down for first name, WK4, exercise 29, maybe even the date once we learn how to make text. We'll save it at least twice. That way we got a good BAK file in addition to the current DWG file. Got you another 10 minutes. Oh, let me show the IntelliCAD, NanoCAD way. Let's see, I won't bother with a new drawing. I will get clear away because these things are so big. All right, circle. We're on circle center. Okay, I wish that don't understand why I see a little dot there indicating it's a should be a fly out. I wonder why it doesn't fly out, but that's okay. I'll check out the options on the command line. We'll click the circle icon. Now, whether I'm going to define it by the radius or by the diameter, either way, I begin by specifying the center point. So I'll pick a random point. It's waiting for radius, but I'll click diameter or right click and pick diameter. Get the zoom out of the way, and this is 68, enter. Hit enter again for the last used command, since there's no icon. Hover around an snap, right click diameter, and this one is 80. Hit enter for the last used command, hover, snap. Diameter is 132, enter. I think I forgot to hit D for diameter. Let's try that again. Circle, O snap, right click diameter, 132 diameter. Enter for last use command, hover, O snap, right click diameter 144, enter. Now, only the biggest one is by radius. So I'll launch circle icon or hit enter. O snap in the center, and by default it's set for radius, so I won't right click and pick diameter. Type 83 and hit enter. Much the same, we got it. 4 using right click and changing the, invoking the diameter option. Since for some reason there is no fly out, I'll have to study that. All these icons look like they should be flyouts, but I can't get a single one to work. Now, how do I get rid of view controls? And I'll just pull the toolbars away from this view controls. Not sure why it came up and why it won't disappear. Let's put a frog eye right here at the 3 o'clock position on the quadrant. Double check I got O snap set for Burgener's 5 favorite. Yep. Double check I got polar on and set for 45 or 90. Every other status bar is turned off. It interests me, almost every significant status bar is already visible by default. You can add more, but they're kind of superfluous, I think the word is, unnecessary. So I like it fresh out of the box. And again, I may be thinking IntelliCAD again. Let's draw the line across from quadrant to quadrant. Zoom in, quadrant there, straight across to that quadrant or intersection. Now let's offset it up and down. 1.5. How about maybe, so anticipating we need to trim the lines on one end and extend the lines on the other. Let's scale this guy a slight amount so we can trim all of them. 1.05. So that way we'll use the trim command 4 times instead of messing with the extend command. I guess either way. Offset, where are we? There we go. Offset is still from 0.2 from making the chair. I'll change it to 1.5. Enter. Offset command says select object. Now it says which side. Click down. Offset command keeps going and going like the Energizer Bunny, so I'll select the first line again and offset it the opposite way. We can erase that original guy, and we'll trim all 4 whiskers. hit enter or space bar so that everything is a cutting edge. Interesting, it doesn't have the word cutting edge anywhere. I might have disrupted. I think I disrupted. Let me start over. Trim, enter, click, 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 click. Just occurred to me I you could have made one perfect and simply mirror it over the original. That's okay. You still need the frog eye yet. Circle command, O snap on the quadrant. The pupil, the eyeball of the frog eye is a diameter of 8, so let's right click, pick diameter and type 8 and hit enter. The skin of the frog eye is dimensioned by radius, and that is a 10-unit radius, and hit enter. We'll trim away trim away the junk in the middle of the frog eye. Trim, enter so that everything is a cutting edge. And machine gun all 3 of these. Up, and that guy. Now I could, if I did some arithmetic, I could make a diagonal line and make a mirror copy of the frog eye to make the second frog eye. And then trim away all of this circle except for the arc between the frog eyes. But I'm too lazy to do the arithmetic, so let's do it the same way as we did with the AutoCAD route. Click, okay, my toolbars change shape a little bit on me. Click 2D array, specify the polar array. The center point would be dead center of all these circles. Select objects. That allows us to window the 2 lines, an arc, and a circle. Hit enter to tell AutoCAD I want nothing more, nothing less. It's already set to 360 degrees. Let's change the number of items to be equally placed around the 360 degrees. Change that to 10 and hit enter. Let's trim away so we got just this piece of the bolt circle left. That would be trim, enter, so everything's a cutting edge. That's all we need to do, hit enter. Let's erase the circle. And we'll polar array this arc, just like we did the arc and circle and lines a minute ago. Click 2D array, specify polar, O snap in the center. Select just this arc, hit enter. Interesting, it doesn't stick 10 for the next time you do a polar array, but that's okay. Got everything? Click OK. Dun, 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 dun. Save it with your first name, WK4EX29. Save it with that new name twice. I have a week 4 already. I'm gonna call this one Paul WK4 EX29. And I'll save it a second time, so I got a good backup copy. All right, I kept you 4 minutes overtime. Anybody got any questions on anything today? If you were able to keep up with me, ready to turn it in right away, or watch the recording and complete it and turn it in. I'd want it, say, well, I don't know, 8 o'clock Wednesday. Give me a couple hours to nitpick everybody's. I'm still working on the take-home quiz. Still didn't get around to finalizing. Again, keep an eye out for the fall night school bulletin. And I believe we'll offer introductory again on Tuesdays. And we'll offer intermediate again on Thursdays. But only 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 times we try to get an intermediate, we get enough students to run it or make it, as they say. Don't forget the YouTube videos. They're a bit old, and maybe my habits might have changed. Any last questions, anybody?
Yeah, so exercise 29 is the homework and it's due tonight, or is it due by Thursday?
Due by Thursday, 8 o'clock, please.
Okay.
So work on it. What's today? Tuesday. Work on it tomorrow right after work. And that gives me 2 hours before bedtime to nitpick them all.
You said Thursday or Wednesday?
8 o'clock Wednesday, I need your homework files. And we'll have class again at 3:15 on Thursday. I better not try to grade them Thursday morning, because I'm supposed to be, well, I'll be on base at my desk Thursday. Because of the quarantine, I'm on the base, Langley Air Force Base, Tuesdays and Thursdays now. Take 2 or 3 hours annual leave or vacation time to get home early to join you at 3:15. Okay, turn them in by 8 o'clock tomorrow. See you next week, folks. Or see you Wednesday. See you Thursday at 3:15, folks.
Thank you.
My pleasure. We gone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Ending. Check the recording. I'll upload it within an hour. See you next.